All right, it is 6 o'clock, and this is the City Hall Council Chambers. This is the City of Merrill Committee of the Whole meeting. It is April 9th, 2024. Second item on the agenda is roll call.
Mr. Kaler?
Present.
Mr. Meyer?
Present.
Ms. Vermanek?
Here.
Mr. Lupton?
Here.
Mr. Rick?
Here.
Mr. Wykes?
Present.
Mr. Sabatke?
Here.
Mayor Haas?
Present.
8 out of 9.
Public comment period. Public comment? Hearing none, we'll move on to consider and approve the minutes from the previous meeting, which was March 12th, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, we have general agenda items for consideration is discuss and consider the remaining unallocated ARPA funds of $9,999.76. Emily, did you want to take over or Rob?
We did have some savings last year with having a vacancy. As far as the administrator position, there's a remainder of the amount that Steve just stated. And one of the recommendations for that money was to use it for the food truck Palooza. There has been money generated. Probably will cover that event. But if we use the ARPA funds for that, everything that's raised this year would be in place for next year, and it would be easier to fully fund that event year after year if we can start out on a good note and have a balance going into next year. These funds do have to be used by, I do believe, 2026, so it's not something that we're going to hold on to or put into a fund that's not going to be used by then. So I think this is a good use for it. This would be the time to either make a motion to use it for that or any other use. I guess that's what we're looking for.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
the council approved, at least in principle, the 3 EV charging stations. We're told it'd be approximately $1,000, but I understand there's new information on that.
Right. I've been emailing back and forth with Representative Kelvin Callahan's office and with Mary Peskowski's office today, trying to get clarification on the EV funds and how we can use them, because it was kind of explained to me that it's an 80-20 match if you're private industry, but if you're a municipality, you don't qualify for that. So I'm trying to get, and that would be for the infrastructure and the installation of those.
Okay, when we were told about the price of the city's portion to put in the 3 stations, we said it's approximately $1,000.
$10,500.
I said $3,500 a station. That was my cost. Hers was $1,000, which
Hers was $1,000. Okay.
yeah. When we did the math and had our electrician look at it and the infrastructure that was required, it was $3,500 per charging station.
Okay, that being said, this would also be a use for the $10,000, but what are you saying, the 80% would be paid for by
the state or by the government, and then 20% would be our match.
If we
So,
were a
in a
private
pub or
business,
not.
though.
But we're not.
Private business, but I'm trying to find out. I'm going back and forth with them, sending emails back and forth, trying to figure out if we qualify or don't qualify. Because if we don't qualify, then should we even be doing it?
Right. I mean, if 3,500 is a lot,
we had understood 1,000, yeah, 35.
that's a lot of money that we don't have that. Well, I mean, I guess we kind of do have it just lying around, but at the same time, we have this food truck Palooza that we've been very fortunate so far this year to have great sponsors and everything, but it's not something that we should just look at us doing 1 year, we should really be looking at investing in that for like a 3-4 year period to see how it goes, how it keeps building, all that. So I would be in favor of putting at least half of that money into that and then maybe finding another use for the other half. But that's my opinion of the scenario. If not all of it goes to the Food Truckapalooza to figure out what's going on there.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to table this decision till the next meeting, and possibly we'll have the proper information and the new council could vote on it more intelligently.
So you're saying there'd be more intelligence next council?
Yes, with myself being the exception to that comment.
I guess, if you table this now, you're tabling the ARPA funds.
Well, the ARPA funds, I understand, don't have to be used for another year or so. So, I mean, and by tabling it, it can be brought up at any point again. I'm saying we don't have enough information right now to make an intelligent decision.
We're talking about the ARPA funds right now, not the EV charging
We're still going to have to
stations.
vote on the EV chargers.
That's the next agenda item, so.
On the second, each board alderman motion for discussion. And then I ask a question. You can win your.
Okay, well, that's a good point, Gus, because the EV charging is the next.
Well, hold on, Tom. If we table this, we can't discuss, right?
Well, it says you can discuss the EV charging station placement and possible funding sources, but if you table the ARPA funds would not be part of the discussion for funding sources.
Unless it's brought back off the table.
Well, and when you table, if you make your motion to table and you have a second, then there's no discussion on the
Yeah.
ARPA funds, so we can't even talk about.
Maybe you should make a motion to refer as I remove my second. I withdraw my second, but maybe the motion refer would be more.
I'm sorry, what's the recommendation for the motion?
Just make a motion.
I make a motion to refer this to a future COW meeting, that being the discussion regarding unallocated ARPA funds.
Okay, I withdraw my motion, and I go with Gus placing the motion. I'll second his motion.
We have a motion and a second to refer the unallocated ARPA funds to a future committee of the whole meeting. Is that correct, Alderman Taylor?
Correct. And I have some questions. How much funding have we set aside so far for the truck?
Everything we have has come from sponsorships.
Where do you feel that you're at as far as?
Hold on, Hallie, would you be able to use the microphone?
I can just come on.
You have to turn it on. Thank you.
As of right now, Emily, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm right about $7,000. And that I don't know how much more is coming in between the vendors and the food trucks, but that's $25 a piece as they come in. So that'll grow a little bit more. My expenses as of right now are $6,987.
So we're over.
Question, how much more funding now you're looking for, like advertising type stuff?
I am pretty flush for this year. The ARPA funds would be great for next year to grow and expand.
But my question too, and I brought this up to our finance director before, is we have this magical tourist fund that in the past could be used for this stuff and couldn't be used for this stuff, and it was kind of like whatever way the wheels spun that day it could be used for. Is it something that we could tap into those funds to assist this event?
Yeah, with council approval and a motion being made, we can use room tax dollars. It's an eligible expense.
And we have an excess of funding that, do we not?
There's a fund balance available. You stop me whenever you want me to. It's not budgeted down to zero, that's for sure.
My understanding is there's a lot more money than there is applications for requests, and somebody here may say
Not from what I remember from the Tourism Commission that I sat on in November or October, whenever that was.
Right.
What
Nathan is the alderman on that committee right now.
Yeah, there was not, we were pinching the pennies to be like, okay, we'll do this event, this event, this event, got told no, so I don't know.
Do you know the balance?
The understanding I had that, I wouldn't say you were applying late, but they had said something to you to the effect of, oh yeah, we got the money, and then it's, well, you missed the application. And it was going to be somewhere in the $1,000 to $1,500 range that it would be applicable for. So next year, they could apply for that. It
Right.
sounds like they have to be in a certain time frame,
Yeah,
and it was missed.
Yeah,
And-
right in the middle of summer when
Yeah.
everybody's busy doing that.
Right.
Well, and then the other thing is too, because we didn't have the snow this year, I talked with Clyde Nelson yesterday a little bit, and he had mentioned to me that they're gonna have to cut some of the money down anyways, because some of the tourism from the snow did not come in this winter. So we're kinda short some money there anyways, from what it sounded like.
I was told that I could fill out the application and get the money after the fact. I just don't know how that will actually go once I fill out the grant.
Right.
Your Honor, I have two comments or questions. I guess along the lines of the no snow, if they had delegated X amount of dollars for the ice drags, which didn't take place, and for the dog sledding, which didn't take place, I would assume some of that funding would still be available from this year.
Potentially.
Potentially. And then also we had talked about potentially filing or applying for a GEM grant for future. So,
We were too late this year to do the GEM grant.
right, but we can apply this year for next year, correct? So that's still an option that is out there. So I guess those are two things I'd like to throw on the table, and
I guess what, the reason that I suggested that we use this for, excuse me, the Food Truck Palooza event was how many events did we fund with that ARPA money beforehand? We funded the Eagle Steak Fry, we funded the fair, we funded the rodeo extra money. We did so much, we bought a stage for that theater group and we ended up getting it back. But I mean, we allocated a lot of money to other events in this community. This event for this year has taken off great. I mean, I can't believe how much feedback that I'm getting on it. I took around some of the posters today. People are excited. People are, the guy at the radio station, Lonnie, when I was down there doing the interview for the council meeting, he's bringing his whole family up from Racine. I mean, people are excited about this. This event is something that's good for Merrill, and I think that this is, if we're gonna use the ARPA funds, why not have it benefit
Your Honor?
city event?
Well, and it could be something too, if I may, Mr. Spocky, it could eventually help us, you know, if you're really talking about getting people in, spending money, that could help with our tourism funds. It could help with helping make repairs or anything down at the festival grounds if you get enough money coming in. I mean, if you're looking long-term. So it's not looking at just this year, it's looking long-term at the next 5 food truck-a-paloozas, is my opinion. So,
I have one additional thought to throw out there, and it's somewhat along those lines. I understand what you're saying, Mr. Mayor, about the excitement, and I guess I would like to, see that come through to fruition, for one thing. But, one of the things that I had thought about, and I had mentioned it to Rod, and I wasn't sure if we could use this money for that, and I know this money probably wouldn't be enough to cover it, but I would at some point in time like to see a sign put out on the corner of the Walmart Merrill Mobile McDonald's corner there, at that intersection, a sign that's similar to what is up at Nelson Powerhouse that belongs to the city, that we can continuously change that to advertise events, advertise things throughout the entire city to try and get people to move further into town than to just turn in and off and get back on the freeway. Because I think that's one of the things we really struggle with, is people who are not familiar with Merrill come into town, they get their gas, they get their food, and they're gone. They don't know there's anything beyond the next block. And so that's one of the thoughts that I had as an alternative for this funding.
Your Honor, I'd like to clarify that Eagles did apply for and receive events, including the Eagles State Convention, the bowling convention, and other events. Literally, the Eagles brought thousands of people into town.
No, I
Not just
agree,
the steak
and
fry.
that's what but I mean, when we allocated ARPA money, it was for that steak fry event that they had there. There was a steak.
Well, the money was used for many other things to bring a lot of people into
Well, it was
town.
supposed to be used just for that, but.
That wasn't
Yeah.
my understanding.
Well, and let's be fair, the fair, let's be fair, the fair brought in thousands of people as well. So, I mean, we're talking about using this money for a food truck-a-palooza that we have at the Prospect right now, thousands of people visiting Merrill. It's, great that right now we are not only balanced, but we're making a small profit on it. But
Understand.
that doesn't mean that next year the sponsors are going to be coming in droves as well.
My only point was I didn't want to minimize the contribution of the Eagles Club.
Nobody, I don't
No.
think anybody had, Steve.
No.
That was not my intention, if that's the way it was taken.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
if I could finish my thoughts. It sounds like you're doing okay, just like need money. The thought behind my motion is that we don't rush to spend this money because we could have a shinier coin come along tomorrow. And if you need something further, if this motion passes, you can always ask for another cow and we can sit down and use what you need. But I just think you're okay right now, and that's one of my motions. And I'd like to see us try to save some of this money for a rainy day to have an event even better than that, not to pick up more.
Right. I totally understand that. I'm just here, I was here to observe, not answer questions.
Thank you for doing that.
I'm excited for it, and I hope year after year it grows.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second to refer the remaining unallocated ARPA funds to a future committee of the whole meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Roll call. Mr. Meyer?
No.
Ms. Vermanek?
Aye.
Mr. Lupton?
No.
Mr. Rick?
No.
Mr. Wykes?
No.
Mr. Spotke? Mayor Haas?
No.
Mr. Kaler?
Aye.
3. Yep.
That motion did not pass.
Your Honor, I would like to make the motion to allocate this money towards the Food Truck-a-Palooza with the understanding that any extras could go towards for any future Food Truck-a-Paloozas and possibly even updates towards the festival grounds if the funds are available.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to use the remaining ARPA funds for the food truck palooza event for future and to future upgrades to the festival grounds if necessary. Any discussion?
What do you constitute as future updates to the festival grounds?
I mean, I could go through a whole list of things that I know the festival grounds could use. I know we're looking at upgrading the bathrooms there. I know we're looking at demolishing a bathroom there. I know we're looking at all of that. I just feel that the Food Truck-a-Palooza, and my gut feeling with how much momentum we have, could potentially generate revenue there that could help us update all of those. I mean,
But there are some separate funds.
There are separate
available
funds,
for
but
that.
it comes at like $30,000 a pop. And I mean, how many years have we talked about putting a roof over the grandstands? I get that that's over $500,000 and we'll never hit that. But you're looking at all these other projects too that are, thousands and thousands of dollars. I mean, I get that this is not going to happen overnight, but we need to look farther than just 2, 3, 4 years from now. I set something up for future generations, set something up for my future kids, set something up for the 2-year-olds that are running around the park right now that, oh yeah, this is a great event that Merrill always has.
I think it's pretty vague with that addition to the
I get it's vague, but it's kind of,
On the food truck palooza, we may not get the sponsors next year that we got this year. We worked very hard to get what we got this year.
So personally, I may agree to it if it was a simpler motion, is all I'm saying.
I couldn't understand the motion in the first place. So
Okay.
you're allocating the unallocated ARPA funds for Food Truckapalooza and what? And future,
and future food truckapaloozas. Let's just go with that instead. Mr. Rick, would you agree with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so just towards the food truckapaloozas.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. Motion carries. Next, we have discuss and consider EV charging station placement and possible funding sources. The possible locations were the Fairman Building, Agri Pavilion, and the Mark. Funding source to be determined. $10,500 is the estimate for the infrastructure.
So, Your Honor, what I'm sensing is someone has to do a little bit more investigating to see if the private companies would sponsor this, with understanding that they might receive a 80% rebate on it, and then we set to discuss who pays the balance. So essentially, some more research has to be done. Is that where we are?
Yep, and I was getting emailed today from Mary Piskulski's office, but I haven't responded and not get anything back from them. I sent 2 or 3 back to them, so.
In that bill that they passed, it also talks about reasonable rates, and we haven't been able to get a answer for reasonable rates on what we can charge to generate revenue from these EV charging stations. We've had this discussion before when Mary Jo, was that her name, was in here. If the money's out there, I think the private sector will fill this void. I have a hard time promoting us spending money on this, I guess.
I will make a motion that agrees with that I think we should let the private sector address this matter. And motion table.
I'll second that motion to table.
Okay, we have a motion to table the EV charging stations. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. Entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.